What's going on? Welcome to Totally Blitz podcast. We're breaking down and recapping UFC 288 Sterling and Cejudo. And before we jump into it, as always, go down, like and subscribe, comment what you thought of the card and everything in between. I'm Paul Pickle Win Concha, and I'm joined with.
Hey man, you already know it's your boy Kev, Waterboy's your boy, aka the Street Fight Enthusiast, aka that motherfucker in that Miami Heat jersey, because we just stay winning, Marcus. But UFC 288, man, went to Jersey with it. Oh, this was an interesting card. We're gonna talk something crazy quick before we go too deep. The crowd. They said they were hailing boos all night, and I was like, the fuck?
Yeah, they were hailing boos. They actually seem to be one of the more smarter crowds, I would say, because a lot of crowds that hate on like the ground game, like it was kind of, we could go over it more when we talk the fight, but like Kron Gracie on it, like he did like one little thing on the ground, and usually like the crowd wouldn't give a fuck. But when Kron Gracie made that little adjustment on the ground, the whole crowd, he heard the gas, it was like, throughout the arena, and it was kind of like, oh, this crowd actually watches MMA. They know that like Kron Gracie's not someone to be like his ground game is the equivalent of like a knockout for somebody. Like I'm just like, okay, this is a crowd that actually knows what they're watching. Like, but then of course, come later in that fight, they were definitely hailing boos at Kron Gracie. So like it was a fun crowd.
Yeah, man, they booed my dog Aljo main event. In the main event, it is very what 20 minutes from his city, 20 minutes from
I
where he
was
grew up.
shocked when I saw that. I was kind of took it back when I saw
And
that.
you know, you know what's crazy? So it's a known fact. I would listen to music during the fights most of the time. Unless people are over, so I'm usually just listening to music by me. So I thought when I heard that they booed him, I heard they were saying that in the crowd, and I looked up and I seen all the stuff that happened after the fight. So I'm thinking like, oh, maybe they booed him because they were big Sean O'Malley fans and stuff like that. No, I was like, they booed him the second they booed him the second they heard the decision, his entire interview. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Henry, they see Henry, woo!
The
Triple
only person I
G.
think that got booed worse than him was Belal. I think Belal got the biggest boos when he can't, his walkout, everything about the fight, he was getting booed.
Right, but he asked for that one. Aljo was like, bro, I just want some respect. I just want some respect. But yeah, this was an interesting crowd. I don't know when the UFC going back to Jersey, but they said they love in the East Coast. They're talking August 19th. They're going to Boston, TD Garden.
Yeah, and they talking about Yuri versus Jamal Hill might be set for that card, but that's just rumors. That's just circulating rumors right now. But the person who put out that rumor, he did call like some fight. He has like a track record of calling some fights, and he says his sources are reliable. So we'll see.
Nah, that'd be crazy. They also trying to think. We'll talk about it more later. But yeah, they got some shit coming for that card. You know, Dana White's from Boston.
Oh yeah, that's true. Definitely would probably put up a big show. They better put Calvin Cater on that motherfucker. He's the Boston Bomber, or whatever the. Oh, never mind. I don't think that's his nickname anymore after after the actual Boston Bomber. But that was his nickname for. But no, but the card itself, I thought was pretty. I mean, I've been on the last couple recaps talking some shit on the UFC cards, and even though some people are saying that one had a better event overall this weekend, I still thoroughly enjoyed this UFC card. I mean, I for the fights that happened on Saturday, talking Canelo Ryder and UFC 288, UFC 288 definitely was the better fights.
You know what's crazy to me when it comes to like hating on the UFC cards? I think it's cool. Like it's okay to hate on a UFC card, but like they do so many a year. Like I didn't know that as a non casual before this. I didn't know that they do so many cards a year that every week it's UFC. I was like, oh, I thought it was like every other month or something. Like, I didn't know they was dropping these shits on a regular basis. So like, I just imagine if the NFL was year round, or if the motherfucking NBA was year round. I'm like, sometimes it's just not gonna hit, and like as long as the ones that do hit, it's all Gucci.
Yeah, and I mean, the big ones by every couple months always seem to hit pretty good. We'll see how the Nunez and Aldana card goes, but usually the big pay per views typically hold weight for a little while.
And I also think last year was even though last year was my first year doing it, I think a lot of those cards just had to were just banger cards for no fucking reason. Like last year had some hitting ass cards.
And I mean, still had some like 287 was a banger, 288, and then UFC Kansas City. I think that was a banger. That's still my pick for like best fight night card of the year so
Banger.
far. And we
Definitely.
had a lot of repeat fighters, which I think is pretty cool. Like Gilbert Burns and Jessica Andrade. Like we've been breaking down their fights. I feel like they've had 3 fights this year so far. So it's just like I kind of enjoy seeing that.
No, that shit is crazy. Cause like I be thinking people like Robert Whitaker, like damn, my dog hasn't even had one yet. We got Dana White. I'm gonna need you to handle that.
And for the people that showed up for the prelims, like I'm not always a prelim fighter. I'm not saying I am, but I do tend to make my way for the prelims on the big cards and even the early prelims. And this one, I mean, the first 3 fights all KOs. Like it kind of
Right.
you get that energy going early when he gets 3 straight KOs and all in the first or second round. So my only issue with the UFC card is, and it's because of their ESPN deal. People were saying like because they're on a deal ESPN, they have to have so many commercial breaks. They have to fit in all these ads and everything. Unlike other like one, people kept saying one was better because of the pacing. It's like, well, one doesn't have $1 billion contract with ESPN. That means that they have to fit commercials in between every fucking fight and every fucking. They're doing commercial. They'll call one fighter to do a walkout and then commercial break, and then they'll come back with commercial break. Both fighters in the octagon. I was just like they were fitting commercial breaks in between Bruce Buffer's fucking breasts if they could. Like they're even Bruce Buffer reading off his ads. He's like Matt Frivola, and this is brought to you by Teo Tires. Like they're fucking like they have ads on ads on ads, and that's the only issue. But like that's what happens when you make it to the big leagues. Like if this was still old OG UFC, I feel like most of these cards would be done in an hour and a half. But so that's the pacing's the only issue. But it's just like, hey, this is what it is now. That's like
No,
complaining
that's
the 3 point line in NBA. It's like, hey, bro, that's just what it is now.
no, that's real shit. And Mad Max, my boy Max from the Bourbon and Bud podcast was bad, not spazzing, but yeah, in the Twitter space yesterday. I had a Twitter space on Mondays. They were talking about that, and it was just he was like, "Bro, you got to do it." And I'm just sitting there thinking, that's gonna change one day, but it's not gonna change while Dana White is here. Like if Dana White retires and they hire some like Adam Silver ass motherfucker that's trying to build everything to make everybody happy, they would be straight. And like it probably will because MMA would be so much of a bigger sport by then. But like, I don't know, man. Sometimes you just gotta eat the bullet, man. Watch some commercials. You don't yell at the Super Bowl for commercials.
That's true. But when we did get the fights, the early prelims, they delivered 3 straight KOs. The one that I'm gonna highlight the most is the Ikram Asakirov KO over Phil Hall's second fight on the card. Bro, it was a clean hit that just dropped him, bro. Phil Halls was in a different dimension for like a good 20 seconds. Asakirov,
Nah,
I just learned of him, and people brought up how his only loss is 14-1, and the one loss is to Hamzat. And it was apparently a good fight before it was a first round KO for Hamzat. But like, that's Hamzat. That's what the motherfucker been doing that his whole life.
kill everybody. But nah, motherfucking that straight. I want to say it was a right. That straight right that he landed on, bro, was so solid. I saw that shit. And I was like, I seen a meme the other day. It was like, hey, I can chop anything. Hire me. I can chop anything. It was like chops wood, chops tire, chops bigger wood. I was like, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy right there. Like the way that he came through with the vicious intent and just baptized, bro. And like, I feel like the other dude isn't a bad fighter either, but like, I want to see more. How you say his name?
Full name is Ikram Aliskirov.
Yeah, I got to see more, bro. He's an issue.
And the
Oh,
middleweight wide open. Like everyone knows, there's not many hitters at middleweight division.
bro,
So
put him next to tell everybody he's African and put him next to Chickies Duplessis. Let him knock bro out.
I wouldn't be mad with that fight. But I got my boy Robert is gonna handle that. My boy Rob is handling all that right now.
Mm.
Then moving on to the prelims. I mean, Parker Porter got the KO. It was a good KO. Claudio Ribeiro, his KO was actually pretty nasty. But then on to the prelims, a couple fights I'm gonna talk before we get into the featured prelim is Verana Jodorowsky. I'm sorry if I messed up her name, but she's legit. Like women's strawweight keeps getting better and better. It's by far the best women's division in the UFC. But this girl is a fucking hitter. Like Rodriguez was already like top five in the division. She wasn't like her only loss on what she beat Jan, who we saw in the main card. She beat Jan in a split decision. She got a unanimous decision over Mackenzie Dern and beat uh, Michelle Karate Hottie Watterson.
Watterson.
Yeah, so there's like she has a good resume. Her one loss was she got knocked out of Amanda Lemos, and then now she just followed that up with a loss to Verona. So like she's a very tough opponent, and Verona went in there and made it look so easy. 3 rounds, took her down every time that she could, mounted her, was changing positions, was trying to shoot for submissions. Like she was legitimate and like she looks scary. Like that's one other thing. When I see her, she looks scary, and I'm like, yeah, Verona might be one of my new favorite strawweight fighters.
She getting big Vanderlei Silva in the dress vibes.
That's what people were saying. I'm not people, but people were saying that, and she definitely did fit the bill. Then the one controversy fight, I mean, there was a couple, but the Chaos Williams split decision over Rolando Bedoya. A lot of people thought Bedoya won. Bedoya came in off a 2-week notice, was not signed to the UFC, I believe. And Chaos Williams, I mean, he's a known fighter, pretty good fighter. He was like a -600 favorite on the money line. And yeah, it was a big favorite. And Rolando like was the more crisp fighter, was the more smooth fighter, but Chaos was landing some big right hands. But every time he landed, these right hands would put a lot of people out. Chaos Williams is known for knocking motherfuckers out. He would hit clean on the chin, and Rolando would just smile. He'd be like, yeah, yeah. And then just keep training with him. And it was as a good fight. I thought Rolando won. I bet Chaos Williams, and I even said, like, oh, fuck. Like, I went to the decision, like, fuck, like, my bets are dead. Like, why did I throw that big-ass favorite in all my parlays? But then also split decision for Williams. I was happy, but I would say Rolando, like both fill-in fighters on this card, definitely showed up. Rolando was the first one we're going to talk about.
I respect. I missed this one, but damn, I gotta rewatch this fight. I gotta rewatch this one. I can't wait for motherfucking this card to come back on ESPN Plus.
And Rolando is, I think, one of 4 Peruvian fighters in the UFC. Like that was one of the things they showcased.
Hey, fun fact. So Kenny Florian, right? Former MMA fighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both his parents are Peruvian. So John Anik, when he said that, he got a text message from bro, since they have a podcast together. And he was like, do I not count as Peruvian? So motherfucking John Anik doubled back. He was like, hey, how about Kenny Florian? Why is he not being counted as Peruvian? And they was like, both his parents were born in Peru. She's like, yeah. He goes, huh. Let me get back to you. And then they told John Anik, they was like, he never rocked the flag.
Gotta rock the flag, right? Cejudo, Sterling would tell you, you gotta rock the flag one time.
Never rocked the flag, so he doesn't count as a Peruvian fighter.
Hey, we don't make the rules, Dana does.
Hey, man. That's how we do it.
And then another one was the Kennedy Nushakshu. I can't say it. Kennedy, he got the KO over Devin Clark. And honestly, the first round
was KO or a sub?
Oh, that was a submission, my bad. But it was almost a KO on both sides because Devin Clark hit him with probably one of the cleanest overhand rights, and immediately he just fell back and he went straight to guarding up, and Devin Clark is unloading, and then you hear Rogan and DC like, uh-oh, I think he might gas out. And as soon as they said that, he definitely started gassing out because he was just unwilling. And then Kennedy kind of got back to his senses, got him in the clinch, hit him with a couple of knees to the body that stopped him. And then from like the side of the clinch, just kept going, ooh. And then you see Clark drop to one knee, keep wailing some elbows. And Devin Clark somehow fought through it, end of the round, second round, more of the clinch, more elbows. And then he finally gets to the submission and the fight's over. But I mean, it was a good, fun fight for like a firefight for a good second round submission. But I like Kennedy, the African Savage, I believe his nickname is, and Jit is strong as fuck.
My boy, you gotta be pretty gangster to get a name like the African Savage. But now it was a good submission. I seen the submission on Twitter. I tuned in this. It was once I seen this, I was like, oh fuck, let me go tune in this card. She's going crazy right now.
Yeah, and it was a good lead into the feature prelim, which everyone was all hyped for. I mean, even the commentators were saying this is going to be the fight of the night, and like that was our pick for fight of the night. I don't know if it. I'm not sure if he did. I'm pretty sure he got performance of the night, Matt Frivola, but I'm not too sure about the fight of the winners. But Matt Frivola again, the KO win over Drew Dopper. This. Oh my bad.
Can I get a steamroller?
Steamroller.
Hey, my boy is nice, dog. But continue. I just had to drop that in there. But continue doing what you were doing, big homie.
Hey, I will say, people thinking it's an early stoppage, but I don't know. Like Drew Dopper was kind of out of there for a little bit, and I don't know. That was a lot of people's argument after the fight. I don't give a fuck because I'm a steamroller fan. I bet on Matt Frivola. He was like almost a 2-1 underdog, plus like 160 when I got him. It was a good day for me. And I mean, A13 stand up. That boy was put on a show like South Gracie Tampa. I know he trained with Ray Longo. Ray Longo is a GOAT himself. He should be inducted. If they have a coaches Hall of Fame for the UFC, he probably should be one of the first ones to go. But man, he's still my A13 guy. So Matt Frivola, and he called out Patty. Here we go. And he called out Patty after the fight. And Patty even answered. Patty got on, was like, he's willing to fight after he gets better or some shit. I don't know, but there's no way in hell the UFC's that right. And then he just comes in heavy, bro. See, like right there, it could be over. Right there. It's just that he waited a second or two longer. But like when he had that side arm clinch on top of him, just throwing hammer fists like this, like that, the fight should have been over about 2 seconds earlier.
Bro, you don't know, be acting like, what you mean it's over? What happened?
Oh, he was pissed, bro. Dauber was pissed. Frivola even goes to try to like show some like respect or whatever, and Dauber's still like right here. He's trying to say something, and Dauber's still just arguing. But then he does eventually like salute with him, but like you could tell Dauber's not happy about nothing going on right there. Boom, right. And for all the audio listeners that don't see it, they're not watching on YouTube, we're just showing a video and reacting to it of the actual knockout right now. That's why there's a little bit of silence.
No, that shit was a nice setup. It was a good fight. It was definitely fun. Definitely a lot of energy. Steamroller, he's welcome to the top 15, man. Welcome to the top 15. That was a good fight. Called out Patty. My favorite part about the shit is just I made my MMA Twitter account on just one random day, and then that just happened to be the day that this fight got announced. So like I followed Matt Frivola, and 2 days later he's already like. So I got to watch the entire process, like him posting every day and getting to this point. Also, yeah, I'm finna fuck him up. And he did, man. That's 3 first-round KOs in a row. I think that boy's earned his motherfucking number.
Yeah, now I believe he's ranked 14th now. Dauber was 15. I'm pretty sure I took him out of the rankings. I mean, that's our guy. I'm still gonna be rocking with him. I hope he gets the Patty fight, and I think he will put a fucking halt to that Patty steam train that's been going.
The fun fact though, Ray Longo's looking like, bro, what do you need? We're past Patty Pimblett. We're trying to go up. There's nothing but motherfucking time. There's nothing but opportunity once you get that number next year. Shit, start finding motherfuckers. But he was like, but Dober didn't have to take the fight against me, so like, why wouldn't I take the fight against Patty? And like, don't get me wrong, it's gonna be a money fight, and it'll probably be a fight night main event, especially if they could do another London card. But I don't know, man. I prefer my boy continuing to go up. But if he fucks up Patty, that's good too.
And then we move on into the fucking main card of 288. And I will say, so the prelims, I think, outsold the main card because out of the 7 prelim fights, 5 were finishes, most in the first or second round, with 2 going to submission, 1 being controversial. Whereas the main card, 4 of the 5 fights ended up going to decision. 1 was a finish, and the 1 finish was electric, I will say. But the first decision on the main card, and probably the most boring fight by far of the whole night, Charles Air Jourdain getting the unanimous decision over Kron Gracie, and I mean, it looked like two different tiers of fighters in there. Like Charles Jourdain, perfect game plan, keeping the distance, circling, keeping the footwork going, takedown defense looking great, and boy was his hands looking crisp. He was fucking just hitting from all types of angles. I fuck with Air Jourdain. I think he has the best nickname in all of MMA with that Air Jourdain. That shit's so crisp to me. But yeah, like Crown Gracie and the Gracie family, get the fuck out of here. Like y'all time is over. Y'all keep that shit in BJJ. Go dominate the ADJCC. Go dominate over there, bro. Because y'all's time in the MMA world is over.
Nah, hey man, everybody on Twitter was upset. Like I wish I bookmarked it. I seen a meme. It was like, yo, how ass is Kron Gracie? And it was like a picture of, I can't remember exactly who this girl is, but imagine like Mia Khalifa or like Lisa Ann or somebody. It was a fat ass. It's a super thick bitch.
Big old booty.
Yeah, they was like, how ass is Kron Gracie? And then another person, I swear, all he did was just post a picture of the earth and was like, fuck Kron Gracie. All my homies hate Kron Gracie. And I was like, bro, this is crazy.
Yeah, that shit was, and they loved that, like hyped him up and everything, and it was like a pick 'em odds. I had we picked Kron Gracie, but then as I actually put money onto it, and I started listening to people that actually follow Kron Gracie and shit, and they're just making it so apparent, like, do not put your money on Kron. And I was like, okay, say less. Like I'm gonna put my money on Charles Jourdain, and like it really, like I think Dana White even said it looked like someone took a time capsule of 1995 when he was fighting, and it was just like that shit's done and over with. Like you can't be scooting your butt on the mat in the UFC, bro.
Man, that's crazy. You definitely couldn't do that shit in Pride. You get your fucking face kicked off.
But and that's why Pride rules sometimes need to come back because of shit like that. Like that whole like people using shit to their advantage. Like, oh, you can't do anything. Like bro, like fucking if you're gonna be butt skewing, I should be allowed to throw a fucking knee at you. Then our next fight, this was the other fill-in fighter that we're gonna talk about here, but Mansar Evloev. I don't know. I didn't know how to say his name, but the way they said it on the show completely blew me. It was like Evloev, but Mansar gets the unanimous decision over Diego Lopez. But man, Diego Lopez, Dana White talked to him after the fight. I guaranteed his money. I think he gave him money, his win bonus as well. Gave him a legitimate contract. And a fun fact about Diego Lopez, do you know he is the grappling coach for Alexa Grasso, current champion?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's her grappling coach, and when I saw him, he looked familiar, and I didn't know until someone pulled up the picture of him in the ring with Grasso when she won, and I was like, oh, that's where I've seen him before, and yeah, so he's been around.
Bro, Diego Lopez, the stock did nothing but go up. Took the fight on 5 days' notice. Came in, putting pressure on, bro. And you can see the 5 days' notice because he kind of slowed down a little bit in the second and third. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I came in rooting against bro because like, I think he has the worst chest tat. I mean, what it says is fire, but I feel like that chest tat is not him. And then the haircut, I'm not a big fan either. You know how I feel about haircuts. Like that's make it or break it for me as a fighter. Like if your haircut not hitting, we gotta part ways, homie. But Diego Lopez got my respect. But who got my respect was Evloev. The fact that he fucking survived on submission attempts is fucking insane.
First round gets an armbar that's fully extended, and then somehow squirts his way out of that armbar. The fucking leg lock,
motherfucking.
Yeah, it was that he almost been out. Jasmine was watching, and she had to look away because I was like, I think he's about to break. I think that bitch about to break. And his leg was fully. It was just like that the Muhammad fight, when the leg was just fully bent. I was just like, oh my, it was pretty hard to watch. I really thought a bone was about to pop out in that leg lock.
Not that bitch was supposed to bust, but he fucking kept it in there. I don't know how long he's gonna. I think I'll give him some time between his next fight, but he showed true fucking grit because he should have tapped. Like everybody else in the world, a lot of motherfuckers would have tapped in that situation.
And I've given a lot of respect to Lopez because the way Mozart has been able to just mull through everybody. he just mauled through everyone he's fought. Namath's decision, Namath's decision. I mean, there's another Namath's decision, but there's a Namath's decision where it wasn't really like you dominated, bro. It was a lot of
Nah,
3 times where there was a Kimura in the third round where he fucking rolled and they got the Kimura lock, and then there was 3 times where you almost had you lost that O next to your name, like you almost had that one.
nah, and then 30-27 is crazy.
That was wild. That one, I think 29-28, I think is what it should have been. After 2 other judges had 29-28.
30-27 is crazy to me. Like I'm telling you, I don't know. And they saying like you're not scoring, you're not getting no credit from certain judges for being on bottom. And I'm like, at this point, that's what it looks like.
I'm okay with that because like with situations like Kron Gracie where you're okay with just being there and getting hit and not doing what, but like whenever you're on your back and then you like reverse into a submission and then you have us like you're literally this close to the win, like that should be counted to me as like a knockdown almost. Like that's the equivalent of the submission. Like it's MMA. This isn't boxing. Like there's more to winning than just knocking you out. So like, what's the other side submitting you? Okay, so I was this close. That means to me, I think it should at least count as like a knockdown or like a wobble or a stumble, like something like very impactful.
Right, and it causes damage, and that's the criteria. Damage. Like go sit in a fucking arm, go sit in a heel hook for fucking 50 seconds and try to fight 2 more rounds. That's you gonna deal with a limp delay damage.
So can't wait to see what both these fighters do next. Lopez, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, shit, he might get a top 15 dude after this. Afterwards, just by how he just looked like off rip. Like you might not need to have to go through like those early bums to get a ranked opponent. Like they might throw you back in with the wolves.
And you know Dana loves people that do favors for him.
Facts. Next fight, the only finish on the main card was Jan Zanian getting the first round KO over Jessica Andrade. And boy, it was a nasty counter that just dropped Andrade. And then she got on top, a couple more hammer punches before the fight got called. And I mean, I picked Andrade. I'm pretty sure you did too. I didn't go big. I didn't look too big deep into Jan to know that like she's a counter puncher. Like that's what she's known for. And Jessica Andrade, like I love her stand up because she's just a wild pit bull, like she's throwing them. But it does seem to be like almost similar to Gilbert Burns. Like if you're gonna go against somebody who is like a pristine striker, it kind of shows the gaps in your holds on because you're throwing so many wild punches. You got the power there. The power is there, but you're just throwing wild punches at a certain point. And if someone is calculated enough to like counter punch you, it did show. And I was like, damn, like Andrade, I think this loss and then the Blanchfield loss, like those 2 losses, I think it might be done for her at strawweight. She probably get a couple more fights, but like she's not going to be fighting for a title anytime soon. Now that like Jan and Blanchfield are like at the top tier, and then you still got Rose and her comeback coming up.
I think she had a really, 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 really strong 2022. Really strong 22, got the standing arm bar, got the motherfucking. She had a really strong 2022, and she came in this 2023 like, yo, I'm gonna fight anybody at any time, and I think that's just the Brazilian warrior in her. But yeah, these last 2 fights did not go in her favor, and that's kind of killed all her momentum. I won't say she's done, but I definitely don't see her as a like. I agree. I definitely don't see her as a title contender either. But she's a warrior though. She's gonna take the fight.
And Jan, they're already saying like, Dana already saying book it. Like he's gonna try to make a UFC China card, and it's gonna be headline with Zong and Jan. And like, I mean, if I'm the owner of the UFC, like, even though Blanchfield, I think probably is in my eyes the real clear cut #1 contender. Get out of the way, Blanchfield. Fucking, we going to China. Like that's not Dana White.
And you know how fucking crazy you can make that because if you get into the right spot, if you go deep enough and make the right moves, you can get one of those 50,000 people arenas. Like that shit could really go crazy.
Yeah, and then you still got the Chinese fight, like Song Yadong could be on the card. You got Ling Jingling on the card. The fucking Mashati, even though he's on the, I think next to Charlotte Card, Mahashiti, like there's a whole bunch of Asian fighters to choose from now that are kind of making names for themselves.
And they got the PI out there in China, so they're trying to breed some more.
And then our co-main event, I mean, this is gonna be some. There's a couple talking points here. You got Belal Muhammad, a unanimous decision win. Dana White saying now he's second in line after
Wait,
Colby. What
there was something I wanted to say. There
about
was
the
something I
Andrade?
wanted to say about that last fight.
Was it about?
I
Okay.
can't remember. It was something somebody. What was the fight we talked before that?
Before the Jan Jessica Andrade was the Movsar Evolov versus Diego Lopez.
Dang, I can't remember what I wanted to say about that Young fight. So I remember. Oh, Teddy Atlas was there. So Teddy Atlas was watching the fight next to Dana, and he's like, look at her right there. She's gonna get knocked out by a straight right because she keeps throwing hooks. And Teddy Atlas was like, yo, if I see somebody doing that in sparring, I'm immediately stopping because it looks like you really just throwing these shits out there. You're not calculating everything. You're gonna get killed. And
She
that's exactly what the fuck happened.
she
Like
threw
he said that 2 minutes before.
she threw 4 left hooks in a row. People were saying she's on her Ryan Garcia. People were saying she was on her Alex Vieira. But she threw 4, and they're like walking, like running in left hooks, and bam, right hand down the pipes.
Walked straight into it.
And I mean that I'll come back to that on this because similar to Gilbert Burns, I felt like with Belal, but like there's a couple talking points. First, Belal won, unanimous decision. Remember the name. Dana says he's gonna be second in line. Colby's still first in line for the Leon Edwards fight. But he says definitely Belal right after that. And then Gilbert Burns' left shoulder was compromised. It didn't seem like it was before. It didn't seem like it was before the fight. It seemed to maybe happen during. I'm not too sure. No one really knows yet. And then Belal's ankle was blown up to like a balloon during fight week, and then he came out and did come out and say, "Yes, my ankle was messed up. I messed it up during fight week." And yet, it didn't seem like it really phased him at all when it came to the fight.
So this fight was pretty cool. I mean, you could probably make an argument that Belal won every round. And he just was calculated. He was a really good striker. That left kick, those high kicks, those head kicks were fucking crazy. Like he was really using them to keep the base. He kept switching. He kept switching stances, keeping on Burns having to move, how to maneuver, confuse and shit. So like Belal played a fight, fought a fucking perfect, not perfect fight, but fought a fucking awesome fight. Like it was great. And you gotta even respect the fact that even though Gilbert Burns showed us compromised, like he did something to make that happen. Like maybe like Gilbert probably may have reacted and that might have been what messed it up or something like that, or something that was nagging during fight week and he really aggravated it during the fight. Shout out to Gilbert Burns for being a warrior, but you gotta give Belal some respect, man. He got off he had a hurt ankle. It was short notice. You already know he has to cut a shit ton of weight. And then the motherfucker, it was Ramadan. So like he was just going through it. But and I'm gonna get into it in a second. But yeah, you got a shot. I give Belal respect for getting this win right here. He deserves the title shot.
And I will say, because same thing I said about Andrade, Gilbert Burns, this was the same point we were just talking about. Like I was saying, they throw these wild hooks, and yeah, they're powerful, but anyone that has any type of like good stand up can go right through that because the straight right hand that Jan showed put out Jessica Andrade right. Belal doesn't have the power, but he kept just throwing straights. He wasn't throwing no wild hooks. He wasn't throwing no like spinning shoulders. He wasn't doing nothing wild. It was just straight up some couple leg kicks, a mean body kick that I felt like kept landing right on the fucking gut of Gilbert Burns. And then just the straight right, straight lefts that kept just piecing him up throughout the fight. I thought maybe we'll see Belal wrestle, show that he's not worried about the BJJ and stuff and like dominate that way. But it's back-to-back fights where Belal dominated in the stand-up. Like maybe it's about time we stop talking shit on Belal. People seem to hate him. I really don't know why people don't like the guy. Like, yeah, he's a little cringy. He's not the best on the mic. He's kind of seems a little bit of like a fake personality on the mic when he's trying to sell fights. But like when it comes to fighting, yeah, he's boring, but like this guy is winning. Like he is like stop. I just got people hate him so much that they don't want to give him any type of credit or respect. Because they're already like, oh well, he beat a Sean Brady that didn't fight in over 2 years, and then he beat a one-armed Gilbert Burns, but it took him 5 rounds to do it. Oh wow, I'm like, bro, like y'all really will discredit this man at any opportunity. Like this man really went out there and did that.
No, it's bro, man. I think it's easier to hate somebody. It's easier to get somebody's hate than somebody's love, and it's so much easier to keep somebody's hate than it is to keep somebody's love. So it's cool. I think I like it. I love it. I mean, he has a funny voice. Every time he talks, I always listen like, huh, he really talks like that. Like I was like, huh, that's interesting. But it is what it is. Like you either gotta hate it or love it, but either way, the underdog's on top. Shout out Gilbert Burns. I had beat not Gilbert Burns, but Belal Muhammad. I had beef with bro because he had knocked out Vicente Luque the way he did. But like, we're not gonna talk about that. We just gonna keep it moving. And shout out Belal because remember for a while that was the most viewed video on the podcast. It was like Belal versus Vicente Luque for like 79 views.
The fight night.
We was eating. I was like, yeah, you can't fuck with us.
Oh man, that was some times ago. It's been like a little bit over a year now.
Nah, definitely over a year. Definitely before last summer.
But I mean, if you didn't score that fight 50-45 or 49-46, I don't know like how else you would have scored it. I think Belal dominated. Colby, I don't. Colby must have some dirt on Dana. He must have some fucking dirt that Dana doesn't want anything to come to light of day. Because I just don't. I've never seen another case of a fighter that hasn't fought and like been active in like a year and a half, and his wins are over Tyron Woodley, who's not even in the UFC, and the Dana White hates. Like he would say he's probably one of the worst champions ever, just because how much he hates him. And then over like a Jorge Masvidal, which also is not in the UFC anymore. And so it's just like I don't know. I've never seen Dana White or heard of this. So like Dana White and Kobe are their best buddies, or he got some dirt on Dana because he's keeping that motherfucker in the front of the line no matter what.
And it's crazy because he was gonna drop him at one point, but like Donald Trump, I feel like Donald Trump has something to do with this. But
I can see it, Donald and Kobe, man.
Yeah, Donald Donald probably told Dana like, "Hey man, make my boy a champion." He's like, "Hey man, I don't fix fights, but like I can do it. I'll try to do what I can do." And it's just a curveball. I just think Leon's gonna end up being the most annoyed champion of all time. Like, just annoyed. You got to deal with. You got to deal with everybody saying Uzman was gonna fuck you up. Now you got to deal with the whole Kobe press conferences. And then you got to deal with Belal. Like you're gonna be praying to get the shot cut and just have a motherfucker that don't talk. I'm praying for those press conferences.
Shit, I can't wait for him. I'm still gonna watch those fights. It doesn't matter who's next, but I'm still gonna watch.
I think they're all gonna be great fights too.
Yeah, I think they're legit. I think those three are the top three in the division. Like Shavkat, Kobe, and Belal. I even if Kobe hasn't been active, I still think he's top three in the division with that. I don't know. Maybe Usman.
Don't forget about Usman and Chimaev, man. Chimaev's still top three at 170.
But I'm not sure if he'll ever fight because Dana doesn't want him at 170 because he couldn't make weight. So like, yeah, so like he's gonna be middleweight, but even then, his last middleweight fight was Gerard Meerschaert, and like he's unranked. So I don't. Hamzat's in a weird spot too. He still says he's fight. We're waiting.
But Usman said he wanted his head, and I don't see Usman going up in weight. So I don't know, man.
Usman better not take that.
But
that would be. He's on his Peter Yan side if he takes that fight.
That'd be death. But like somebody has to take the fight.
Shit. I think Shavkat and Hamzat. I mean, they stopped the beef, but there was a week where they were taking shots at back and forth because both of them the nickname is the Wolf. So they were taking shots back and forth on who's actually the Wolf. And that's why you saw that one video of Shavkat with the Wolf that was like half dead that they shot and they posted it. It was a shot at Hamzat, like I'm the Wolf Slayer kind of thing. Like I hunt wolves. I don't know. It was just like a weird thing. Like it was never like actual like I want shop clock. It was this little post on Instagram where like if you weren't really in like keeping up, you wouldn't have known. So I kind of got filled in with that. But then since then, I think they met up and they're now they're buddies. Like they because I guess both their countries are friendly. So they're like our country's been friendly. They've been brothers for hundreds of years. Like da, 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 da. You know, they went like the Muslim route of like we're still brothers.
I gotta say that's so crazy how that works in certain places. Like, yeah, our countries we can't do it. Like, it's crazy, it's powerful. But in all, shout out Belal Muhammad, 170, and he said that the coolest thing he said was that the fact that he knew he had to take this fight. It was short notice. He's fresh off of Ramadan. He got to cut weight, and then you get the injury while you still have all this cut weight. He could have asked to move to postpone it, but he was like, "Nah, I'm not fucking anything up." And I think this works in both ways because he said, "No, I'm not fucking anything up." He said, "I'm at my closest to God. I'm about to fight my best." And like, I haven't seen a lot of Belal fights, but what I saw was a calculated motherfucker that could probably strike with Leon Edwards if you really, really, really can just stay on point. But I also think it's the same thing from the opposite for Gilbert Burns. I think Gilbert Burns wanted that shot too bad. And I think if he had got this fight maybe like in August, especially since Kobe and Leon probably aren't gonna sign the deal like tomorrow. So like they're still going back and forth with those negotiations. So you gotta wait for that fight and then wait afterwards. I would have low-key waited for this fight and then save this fight for like July, August. Let me actually get like a not a full camp, but get right a little bit, heal the rest of the body a little bit. But that's what we're saying because he lost. Because if you had won, we'd been like, yo, bro.
Yeah. No, I won't. Yeah, no, I kind of agree because I mean, this was what his third fight in the last than 4 months or some shit. Less than
106 days,
yeah. Brazilians, man, they built different.
bro. They're built different, bro.
On the last fight on the card for 288, the biggest fight right here, went to decision. It was a split decision where we saw Aljo main event, Aljo Sterling himself retain the bantamweight title, beating Henry Cejudo. 3 judges scored it 48-47, 48-47 Sterling. 1 judge had it 48-47 Cejudo. There's been a lot of debates back and forth on who won. One issue that people have with the scorecards is one of the judges that gave it for Sterling gave the 5th and final round, which is almost universally agreed upon that Cejudo won that final round, is that he gave it to Sterling. And if he would have gave Cejudo that final round instead, Cejudo would have been the split decision winner here. So that a lot of the controversial thing, a lot of people like to say Robert Whitaker fans are the 2-3-5 committee because of the Izzy Rob fight. They think Rob won round 2-3-5, and that's what they're. I am the Henry Cejudo 2-3-5 committee because I felt like Henry Cejudo won round 2, 3, and 5. Even though round 2 and 3 were extremely close, and that's why I will not say it's a robbery like some people are gonna say. I think it was a really close fight where Sterling won. And you know, sometimes they say it's like with champions and stuff, like you gotta beat the champion. You can't go 50-50 with the champion because the champion's always gonna get that little extra call, that extra push. And no, you can't go 50-50. You gotta beat the champion. And I don't think Cejudo beat him enough for him to win a decision. I thought he won the fight. Also, maybe because I picked him, maybe it's because he's Mexican, maybe because I bet on him. I don't know. But I definitely close ass fight, good ass fight. And for a motherfucker that ain't fighting like 3 years, he looked pretty good.
Henry Cejudo is Mexican by relationship, not by blood. Not by blood. His family is Mexican, so he just happens to be Mexican. But I think this fight was very interesting because it could have went a lot of different ways. I think Henry Cejudo came in with the best game plan to neutralize Aljamain Sterling, and Aljamain Sterling showed why he's the champion and why he's so much better, why he's one of the best in this division full of killers. Motherfucking the fact that he took him down, like I thought he lost the first round until he got back up, and then he took him down and stole that round.
Same.
but I wouldn't.
I thought that was the second half was all Sterling who won that round.
Yeah, I would, but I wouldn't have been mad if a judge gave that to Henry. And then the second round, this is where shit gets interesting. So I think Aljamain Sterling won the second round, but it was so close that if a judge gave that to Henry, I'm not tripping. You feel me? So like that's because that's the way you got to come with the judges now. Like I'm not tripping if it goes the other way on this round. But the third round, and this is also where I was wrong because I thought the first and second round those were going to be Henry's best round. I didn't think he was going to be able to keep up the pace. I didn't think he was going to continue to stop the takedowns. I didn't think he was going to, especially that front headlock he was getting. He was really using that to really control Aljo. And that when he came in that third round and balled out, it was him. He was him. Henry really did that. So I would have, if you gave Henry the second round, I wouldn't have been tripping, and I definitely would have gave him the third round. The fourth round is what I would have gave Aljo. Like Aljo
100%.
got there. That's when he started figuring out his striking, and then that's when he started really getting right. And this is where he lost me in the fifth round because in the fifth round, I really thought he was gonna. This is when he takes off. This is when he shows like, yo, I'm the champion. I'm dominant. I'm about to let these punches go. I'm gonna attempt to finish him. Like, you feel me? I really thought he was gonna like go ham, and he didn't do none of that. And I was just like, oh, this is why people hate on Aljo. Because I underestimated Henry Cejudo. He definitely came in here and looked fucking awesome. You couldn't tell that he missed 3 years for nothing. Came in with it was a high IQ fight, and he came in with the higher IQ. But motherfucking, I understand why people hate Aljo because I'm like, oh, this is when you were supposed to take off right here. This was your Izzy moment. This is when you were really supposed to like go ham, fuck him up, and show everybody like, yo, this is my division. Let's get the fuck out. But he didn't do that. He kept his game plan. He kept going. And then Henry was like, I'm not trying. Henry was like, I'm trying to keep winning this round. So I'm a motherfucker wrestle my ass off. So like, I respect it. The fight could have went either way. So like, either decision, I wouldn't have been tripping. I was just happy that they gave it to my dog Aljamain and he won that bitch. But when Henry said that he won the second, fourth, and fifth, that's when I was like, okay, bet. This is how I know you didn't. So I know you didn't win the fight. And I know for a fact you ain't won the fourth one. If you had said that you won the third round, I would have been like, damn, you might have won. But no. If you say you were in the second, fourth, and fifth, okay, I know you.
Yeah, and I mean, 3 years, it didn't look like I was worried about that 3 years ring rust. I was worried about the size. Like that, people are like, oh look, he took down Henry Cejudo. I'm like, bro, like Aljo's also big for bantamweight. And Henry Cejudo, people will be like, forget, like he didn't wrestle at 135. That was not his wrestling weight class. Like when people bring up his wrestling accolades, he was like at I think like 115 or 120. He was at one of those, I can't remember the weight class, but he was in the fucking small ass weight classes when he won gold and did all
I'm guessing he started at one. I'm guessing he started at 103, then went to 112.
Yeah, like
he's really short. He's only 5'4".
Yeah, he's real small. So like that, I know he won gold at 55 kilograms, and which is 120. But throughout college and everything else, he got like put on weight. Like he didn't start off at 120. So like Aljo being like when Aljo's like what, like one on fight day, he's like 145 pounds, probably 100, like big as shit.
Facts.
Yeah, so like, oh, he took down Cejudo. I'm like, well, Cejudo was also a flyweight for a lot of his career. They went to bantamweight, and now he's like at bantamweight. He's at fight day. He's still probably 135. Like he's not putting on much more weight. I'm like Sterling. I'm just saying, like when people are like, oh, Cejudo, like people say, like he wasn't even. He has like 20 pounds on the cat, and he's the bigger, taller guy.
I gotta disagree with that one because I don't think after watching that fight, I don't think anybody besides Rob is really taking down Henry Cejudo in that weight class. Like that was a pretty big deal. Like I wouldn't flex it, me personally, but that is a pretty big deal because like his wrestling IQ is so crazy. The fact that he got that inside leg trip in the first round, knowing that he had to get those things, the fact that he was working from the double underhooks and the front headlock all fight was fucking insane. Like. If Aljo was a little bit more of a scrub, he would have been able to put him in some really dangerous positions just because of how patient he ran, and how patient he ran his defense, and how reactive he was with the sprawls. And like there was a lot of times he had Aljo, who's a great wrestler, with a knee on the back of his head. So I was like, oh, Henry Cejudo is nice.
Yeah.
So taking him down 4 times is respectful. Like I respect that you could. I didn't think he was gonna be able to take him down. I was like, bro, stop fucking wrestling. Look, like, I understand that you're the Mr. Backpack, but you're killing him on the feet. You're killing him with the strikes. He's not really tagging you like that. You're not taking damage. Stay on the fucking feet.
Yeah, so that was my whole thing. I'm like, outside of Sterling, who probably won't be in the weight class much longer, like everyone else in bantamweight aren't gonna be as big. And other than Marab, there's the only other person. Like Marab and Umar are gonna be the two people who I would like to see Cejudo wrestle with to see who actually like because those are similar in sizes and weight and everything. But like, yeah, Aljo took him down. Like that was I just felt like people were like flexing that super heavy online. Like, oh, well, I thought Cejudo couldn't be. What happened to Mr. Gold Medal? Like Aljo was out on him. I'm like, bro, he had 20 pounds on him. Like, they're like the big guy.
I gotta disagree with you, Paul, because the entire buildup they was talking about it, and then Cejudo's trying to go to motherfucking 145, and he's pretty buff, so like I respect it, but he's short. That's just the difference. I think if he was taller, he would be a fucking fiend at 155, like a taller fiend. Like he would be. He wouldn't even go to 145. He'd be at 155, killing shit. Fuck all that Dagestani wrestling shit. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I respect what they're talking about. Like everything. This is the first fight I've ever agreed with everything. Like everything everybody said, and I was like, yeah, you got it. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
No, that's just the one thing because if he took him down a couple times and it was just a couple shots, but I think what was the official record? It was 4 of 15 on 4 of 15 on takedowns. I understand Cejudo's background, but I just don't know. People were flexing it like he was like almost effortlessly. I'm like, bro, they're like Cejudo wasn't like fucking. It's just the size and weight and everything. I just felt like he had the weight advantage, which is kind of there's a reason why there's weight classes in wrestling like that. Like there's just sometimes like if you are the bigger guy, you can win in certain positions because you just have more force power and stuff. Technique takes you technique can beat a lot of people, but when there's certain people that have good technique and have weight on you, it's kind of then you kind of losing that battle.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Paul. When it comes to the wrestling, dog, I'm not gonna lie to you, mate. Like, it's tough because I think the fact that he got a lot of the takedowns that he did get was based off of like tenacity, and he was getting in the right positions, especially like in the first round when he got the takedown. That's tough though. Like, I'm saying, like, I think when it comes to that wrestling, like if Aljamain's in a 100, Henry Cejudo's in. If Aljamain got the 100 ranking, no. Khabib has the 100 ranking, and Aljamain has like the 93. Henry Cejudo has a 92.5. Like,
I'll give it to you. I mean, he did win.
I respect it because they're like this. Like,
at the end of the day, he did win.
And I agree with your argument to an extent because, like, I think pound for pound, even though they're in the same weight class, but like on some normalized shit, Cejudo's the better wrestler.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. It's just the weight difference. That's the whole thing. I'm not even calling him a weight bully or anything, like some people would. That's not even my point. I'm trying to think. I'm just like, yo, like he's just bigger guy. Like so, like they could have the same amount of good wrestling. It's just now he has the weight.
I think Cejudo's a better wrestler because he has more Greco experience. So like Aljamain's folk style probably did a little bit of freestyle as training and stuff like that. Henry Cejudo won the gold medal of freestyle, but if you look at those underhooks that he was getting to neutralize that shit, you can't do that in freestyle. The fuck, beat your ass if you try to be like that in freestyle. Drop this shit and turn you, motherfucking. He was really killing his ass with those every time, especially early in the fight when he was killing, especially in the third round too. Those front headlocks and those front headlocks, of course, you can get those in freestyle all day. But those underhooks was like, oh yeah, he was really mixing it in it because he knows that Aljamain doesn't have the upper body techniques and shit like that. Even though his body lock was nasty, I think if Aljo didn't have that body lock because his arms are so much longer, like motherfucking, I don't know if he's really if he's really getting out of those positions that Cejudo was putting him in. But at the end of the day, I respect both of them boys to the fullest. I think they're really great. I think Henry Cejudo was a champion. He's a great champion. He earned every accomplishment he's ever received. No, he never took. I feel like he's never taken the easy way out. And same thing with Aljo. I feel like he's him. He's just
No, he is.
he's
Like outside of Marab, I don't think anyone beats him in the weight class right now. Like Umar maybe, but Umar's still a few fights away from that. And that's gonna bring me into the second thing because we're nearing almost an hour here. So I gotta bring this up before we get there so we can head out. Is Sean O'Malley, Dana White puts him in the ring. He lets him come in there. They get the little face off. Did you like or did because Dana White afterwards was like, yeah, that was one of my worst mistakes. Because almost I guess a brawl almost happened. I guess they were getting a little bit more aggressive than what he thought that would have happened. My boy Marab stealing jackets on top of the cage. That was probably one of the best moments of the whole year, probably. That might make like a full year countdown. That was one of the GOAT moments. So he's on top of the cage, like, and he's up there like this. He turns around to sit on the cage, like, what? What am I doing wrong? Like, Moral's a funny guy, but with the face-off itself, like, did you? Because you can look at it as one or two ways. One, you like it because you know that's the next fight, getting that pre-fight jitters already going, getting the hype brewing, or you don't like it because you're taken away from Sterling's moment in the cage. Like instead of him being able to sit there and enjoy the moment, fucking his next opponent is already in his face talking shit. They can't give him that little moment.
I think it's just perfect. But and it's a fight that needs to sell a lot, and it's probably not going to be the main event. But if it is, it's probably going to be in Boston if it's a main event. But Sugar Sean O'Malley was sitting next to Aljo's mom and like sister, fiance, and family and shit like that. And they were like nervous as fuck before the fight. And Sugar Sean was in that bitch telling them like, "Hey, no. Aljo's gonna do good. Don't worry. He's gonna be great." Imagine being them, and then next thing you know, she goes into the octagon and he does all that shit. You're looking like, what the fuck?
I hope you look better than you did today. You look like shit. I was like, God damn.
And what he was saying wasn't even disrespectful like that to me. Because I feel like that's just like I feel like that's what he was saying. He's like, bro, you better be better than that. And I think if he wrestles, I know that Sean O'Malley isn't coming harder than Cejudo, but I just didn't like the energy he came with because like Aljo, I feel like Aljo is gonna be on some funny shit because like the first thing he says, "Sugar, bring that sweet ass," and I'm just like, okay, this is about to be funny. And then immediately, and then Sean O'Malley just comes fired up. Maybe he's just been like brewing the itch in the fight, like he's been waiting for this one. He's been brewing, he's been really sitting on the edge, so that's why he did it like that. But I ain't like it I feel like it could have been funny. It could have been smooth. It didn't have to be respectful. But I feel like Sean O'Malley just ain't had no jokes written down. He ain't had nothing for the WWE promo. Then Aljo exposed his ass. Nobody even said shit about him turning down the fight. I was like, oh, he did what? He did what?
Little drama in the octagon.
Oh, he did what?
I hope you've been training BJJ. That's what Aljo got saying too. I hope you've been training your BJJ. I hope you.
That's all this man's been training for a year. But yeah, he's and Sean O'Malley, I think that Thriller jacket was dumb hard. But yeah, I didn't really like it. I think Marab doing what he did with the jacket, maneuvering it, and then posting it on Twitter, posting the shit on Twitter the next day. That's what saved that. Because if not, them boys would have just been lame as fuck. Would have looked like these WWE ass jits.
Who wore it better?
Oh, Marab all day.
Marab, right? Like Marab was a clean killer with that bitch on.
He actually looked good in the motherfucker for real. Like and then he posted a picture like.
Nah. Marab's hilarious, right? And then when we really watch the video, you see his face because he like picks it up off the ground, and you see his face like a child, like started getting a little smile, a little smirk on it. He puts it on, he's like, he's just like having a good. He's just bobbing his head with a little smile. I'm like, look at this evil motherfucker back here, bro. Nah, but
I mean, so yeah,
great. I thought it was a great press. Like, I'm not the big Aljo fan. A lot of Aljo fans were like, "Oh, we should have let Aljo have his moment. Like, he just beat what y'all thought was the greatest fighter of all." But nah, that shit was comedy.
New Jersey didn't let Aljo have his moment.
No, they did not, bro. New Jersey did not fuck with Aljo, which is kind of crazy.
You gotta go to Brooklyn. Go headline the Barclays. See if they fuck with you over there. They don't fuck with you in the Barclays, but just go to one. Them boys gonna do you over there.
All right, and before we head out, If you had to pick one opponent for Aljo next and one opponent for Cejudo next, who would it be?
Oh man, Cejudo versus Max Holloway, and
You think Max?
uh,
You think Max goes down a division or Cejudo goes up?
nah, Cejudo got to go up. Keep it rap because like I feel like all he can do is really fight Marab. I mean, he probably beats Sanhagen.
Well,
He
that's what a
fights
lot of people are
Marab.
saying. He might just get the Marab fight because like Marab has
That's what he.
nowhere to go, and like a loss to Cejudo don't really hurt you back that much, and a win like he does. Y'all both have nothing to do.
Yeah, and then like it's really, but I think I would save that for like a vacant title fight. I would want to see him fight like some random shit because like I don't want to see Sean O'Malley lose the championship, lose the championship fight, and then get a vacant title fight. I feel like that's kind of lame.
If Cejudo on outside Marab, I don't really care for him because I don't want to see him fight Corey Sandhagen. I don't want to see him fight Song Yadong. Like there's like maybe Umar. Umar gets the super jump up into the next opponent. Like that's how his way of breaking into the top five is fighting Cejudo. That would probably be my pick. Would probably be Umar if it's not Marab. And Sterling, I mean, he's not. I mean, you beat Cejudo at this point, and now I can't even pick your next opponent. It's already been done for us. Like it's gonna be Sean O'Malley, and then I'll just say after that, I hope he moves up the start. So then we can see Marab fight more. Only reason I want to move up more is because I want to see Marab actually more active and in the mix.
Yeah, I think yeah, and I think that's all it is. Like that's his best fight because that's gonna be like his best presser. That's gonna be what probably brings the most money for the pay per view points, all that good shit. And then it's just gonna be like, okay, now you've kind of solidified yourself to bantamweight. You realize that people are gonna hate you regardless, and just keep it moving.
And if you'll go all the way back to when we picked Jan versus Sterling, the second fight, when our very first breakdown of their fight was Sterling versus Jan 2. I literally brought up on there because there was a rumor that was circulating from his camp that said like if Sterling wins, he's only gonna fight maybe one or two times in the weight class and then move up because his stablemate, and I didn't know much of him at the time, so I was just like his stablemate Marab. He says he's gonna be the next champion and he's not gonna fight his stablemate or whatever. And it's so crazy that 2 years later, basically now is like holy, like all that shit actually ended up happening. Like it was just a rumor that I just pushed out there from what I heard, and like it turned out to be true. Marab was a killer. Marab is actually probably the next champion, possibly what all signs pointed to. And Sterling is only going to take 2 or 3 more fights in the weight class before moving up. So I mean, Sterling, his 2 year plan looked fucking spot on.
Nah, dead ass. I can't remember who Marab fought last, and then that was the fight. I was like, oh, that's the dude Paul was talking about. Like, okay.
Jan, when you fought Jan and did like 60 take, they broke the record for the UFC. You know, he's like number 2 or number 3 in bantamweight history for takedowns and takedown attempts. And they were showing like Cejudo's like second. I was some crazy statistic. Like Cejudo's at like let's say 100 and he's second. And he has all these fights in bantamweight. Like he has all this track record. And it was like Marab like 6 fights in, fucking third. And it was just like, oh shit, like fucking Marab is just doing it at a different pace than everybody else.
Yeah, but that was a great card, man. I enjoyed the fuck out of that shit. And it was fun to watching the after shit afterwards because this is one card I watched like pretty much every interview and every press conference. I was like, yeah, let's go see some shit. I finna go watch some steamroller shit later. Shout out that boy, what's his name, Tom. That boy's on podcast. I'm gonna go check that shit out, see what them boys are talking about. But man, great fucking week of fights, man. We didn't even bring up the one card, but like, shout out Demetrius Johnson. That boy looks like he's retiring. So motherfucking got his W. But damn, great fucking card, man. This was a fun ass episode. We haven't done an hour episode in a while, Paul.
But it's been a minute. 288 was a banger. The crowd showed up. The prelim showed up. The main card showed up. I love it or hate it. Belal Muhammad is number 2 contender as of right now. Sterling is so far, what is it, 9-fight win streak in the bantamweight, and then Cejudo, we'll see what's up with him. Jan, new strawweight contender. We'll be breaking down UFC China in the next couple months, hopefully. And Jessica Andrade and Gilbert Burns. Maybe y'all should just take a little 6-month break. Get that. Go back to Brazil and chill for a little.
There you go. But damn. This has been if you didn't know, we gonna tell you motherfuckers that this has been a Totally Blitz podcast, man. We've been chilling with this bitch talking that UFC shit with you, man. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you're checking stuff out. We still got our Dre Malley interview up, so make sure you go check out our first interview with a pro fighter. And make sure you tune into the live stream. The live streams are always gonna be coming crazy. But if you didn't know, I don't mind telling you again that my name is Kev Waterboy Savoy. I'm in this bitch with Paul Pickham, Warner Kacha, and that this is the Totally Blitz podcast. And you and the person that's watching your ass, and you don't even know it, is a bitch.